The assembly will come to order. The chief clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson. Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. Assemblywoman Black. Assemblywoman Brown-May. Assemblywoman Carlton. Assemblywoman Cohen. Assemblywoman Considine. Assemblywoman Dickman. Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblyman Ellison. Assemblyman Flores. Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Assemblywoman Gorlow. Assemblyman Hafen. Assemblywoman Hanson. Assemblywoman Hardy. Assemblywoman Howdigi. Assemblywoman Kasama. Assemblywoman Krasner. Assemblyman Levitt. Assemblywoman Martinez. Assemblywoman Marzola. Assemblyman Matthews. Assemblyman MacArthur. Assemblywoman Brittany Miller. Assemblyman C.H. Miller. Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno. Assemblywoman Wynn. Assemblyman O'Neill. Assemblyman Orlicker. Assemblywoman Peters. Assemblyman Roberts. Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong. Assemblywoman Thomas. Assemblywoman Titus. Assemblywoman Tolles. Assemblywoman Torres. Assemblyman Watts. Assemblyman Wheeler. Assemblyman Yeager. Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblywoman Marzola. Assemblyman Orlicker. Speaker Frierson.
Here, Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that Assemblywoman Marzola and Assemblywoman Duran are absent excused. Assemblyman Orlicker is absent. We have 39 present, and we have 40 members present.
There are 40 members present. There's a quorum. The assembly will please rise for the prayer by Reverend Maggie McNaught of the First United Methodist Church here in Carson City.
Spirit of truth, thank you for all those involved in governing our state. Please empower us as citizens to give them the respect due their office, whether or not we agree with their political positions. Bless our assembly representatives by leading and guiding their thoughts in ways of truth, justice, and peace. Remind them of the people they represent, the democracy they believe in, and the fiduciary trust that has been placed in them. Give our leaders the strength and courage to act and speak with integrity. Help them to be honest and truthful as they carry out their important roles and responsibilities. May they strive to be ones who hold fast to the inner compass of conscience by honoring and holding to their promises and commitments. Protect them from temptation to seek personal promotion or financial gain. Instead, inspire them to work for a greater transformation of society. Amen.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order of Business 2, reading and approval of the journal.
Carson City, Tuesday, February 23rd.
Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to dispense with further reading of the journal and authorize the Speaker and Chief Clerk to make necessary corrections or additions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go to Order of Business 7, messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, February 23rd, 2021. To the Honorable the Assembly, I have the honor to inform your Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed Senate Bills 15, 16, 28. Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
Order of Business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Assembly Joint Resolution 4, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources, urging the Congress of the United States of America to designate certain land containing swamp cedars in Spring Valley as a National Heritage Area.
Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Joint Resolution 4 be referred to your Committee on Natural Resources.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Joint Resolution 5, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources, urging Congress to sell or transfer certain public lands to local governmental agencies and nonprofit organizations.
Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Joint Resolution 5 be referred to your Resolute Committee on Natural Resources.
Without objection, so referred. Go to Order Business 9, Introduction, First Reading, and Reference of Bill.
Assembly Bill 171, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources, an act relating to natural resources, providing certain protections for a certain population of Rocky Mountain junipers, providing penalty, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 171 be referred to your Committee on Natural Resources.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 172, introduced by Assemblyman Gorlow et al., an act relating to veterans, requiring the Nevada Veteran Services Commission to conduct a study concerning the effectiveness of the Department of Veteran Services and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 172 be referred to your hardworking Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 173, introduced by Assemblywoman Howdigy, an act relating to professional regulation, revising provisions relating to the exemption from licensure as a professional engineer for employees of certain public utility companies, revising provisions relating to eligibility to take certain required examinations for licensure as a professional land surveyor, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblyman Howdigy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 173 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 174, introduced by Assemblywoman Thomas et al., an act relating to health care, authorizing certain persons to consent or withhold consent to health care on behalf of an incapacitated patient, prohibiting a medical facility from refusing to allow certain persons inside the facility under certain circumstances, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer Assembly Bill 174 to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 175, introduced by Assemblyman Hanson et al., an act relating to abortion, revising the requirements for informed consent to an abortion, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer Assembly Bill 175 to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 176, introduced by Assemblyman Hanson et al., an act relating to abortions, revising provisions relating to parental notice of an abortion, revising certain procedures and requirements for filing a petition for authorization of an abortion without parental notice, providing penalty, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer Assembly Bill 176 to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Senate Bill 15, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to grants, revising provisions governing the powers and duties of the Administrator of the Office of Grant Procurement, Coordination, and Management of the Department of Administration, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer Senate Bill 15 to your hardworking Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Senate Bill 16, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to minority affairs, transferring the duty to provide staff assistance to the Nevada Commission on Minority Affairs from the Department of Administration to the Department of Business and Industry, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer Senate Bill 16 to your hardworking Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Senate Bill 28, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to the military, establishing the offense of sexual harassment within the Nevada Code of Military Justice, revising provisions relating to the offense of sexual assault within the code, providing a penalty, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer Senate Bill 28 to your hardworking Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred. We go to Order of Business 15. I know I have a few. Assemblywoman Dickman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to acknowledge Mining Day at the Legislature. The saying, if it's not grown, it's mined, holds true today. Nevada miners are operating on less than 0.5% of Nevada's vast land, producing 20 essential minerals necessary for everyday life, and play a leading role in providing the raw materials that secure our nation's energy independence and our position as a technology leader. Mining is a statewide employer employing approximately over 37,000 Nevada families in every corner of our great state who can trace their livelihood to the mining industry. I'd also like to acknowledge all of the awesome women who work in the mining industry, including engineers, geologists, underground operators, educators, surveyors, lobbyists, drillers, and so many others. Their expertise is extremely beneficial and appreciated. Thank you so much, and thanks to our mining industry in our great state.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Dickman. Go to Assemblyman Ellison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today, I also will rise in support of mining this day at the Legislature. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
A lot of people don't remember the modern mining actually began in Nevada in 1849, and it come down to the Carson and down into Douglas County. So it's been a long time that mining has had a large impact on this state for over hundreds of years. Though some might think mining is strictly a rural operation, the truth there is in a single county in Nevada, there's mining operations that supply the chains, either business or through mining operations. I'm privileged to have both mining and businesses that support the mining industry in my district. My colleagues represent both rural and urban districts. As diverse as their districts seem, they have one thing in common: mining the businesses that support the mining industry. I point out 2 examples. Cashman Equipment, and as in Assembly District 41, Barrick North American headquarters at District 29. The impact of Nevada mining careers extend throughout the entire state of Nevada. Please join me in acknowledging the impact of rural mining plays in the state of Nevada for the men and women that represent Nevada mining. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time speaking and breathing with this mask. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and we can hear you just fine, Assemblyman. Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, surprise, I rise, and it's a pleasure to support Mining Day at the Nevada Legislature today. As the great-great-great-granddaughter of a coal miner in Wales, who then moved to the silver mines of Nevada, I'm proud to stand here today in support of Mining Day at the Legislature. Mining is a statewide employer and has employees in all 42 of our legislative districts. Many work shifts at the mines, and then they return home to their families in the Reno and the Las Vegas area on their time off. My district is the home to many mining businesses, but the impacts of mining careers extend from the sparkle of the Sparks Marina to the foot of the Ruby Mountains, all the way down to the shining Las Vegas Strip. So even though this building is closed to the public, please join me today in acknowledging the hardworking men and women who represent and work in the mining industry in Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Thank you. Today, as we continue to celebrate Black history, I would like to introduce a very little known yet extremely significant Black historical figure that absolutely should be recognized. The Alabama Slave Code of 1833 included the following law: any person who shall attempt to teach any free person of color or slave to spell, read, or write shall, upon conviction thereof by indictment, be fined in a sum of not less than $250, nor more than $500, demonstrating the power and fear of education. After the slave revolt led by Nat Turner in 1831, all slave states except Maryland, Kentucky, and Tennessee passed laws against teaching those enslaved to read and write. Oberlin College was the first college in the United States to admit African American students on an equal footing as white students, and the nation's first co-ed institution of higher education. While it is believed that 2 other Black women had attended college, Mary Jane Patterson was the first who entered and graduated from the 4-year gentleman's course that included studies in Latin, Greek, and mathematics, resulting in a traditional Bachelor's of Arts degree. Born to enslaved parents, she was the first African American woman to receive a bachelor's degree when she graduated in 1862. Upon receiving her degree, she went to Philadelphia, where she taught for 7 years in the Institute of Colored Youth. In 1869, Patterson moved to the Preparatory High School for Colored Youth in Washington, D.C., also the first public school in Washington, D.C., but also the first public high school for Black children in the nation. In 1871, she was appointed principal. In that role, she established a teacher training that set high, consistent standards. She worked with colleague Mary Church Terrell, an activist for civil rights and women's suffrage, to form the Colored Women's League. The organization would later become the National Association of Colored Women. The League focused on training kindergarten teachers and providing industrial and homemaking skills for working-class women. Ms. Patterson taught until she died in 1894 at only 54 years old. Mary Church Terrell, another Oberlin alum, wrote in the Journal of Negro History, "She was a woman with a strong, forceful personality and showed tremendous power for good in establishing high intellectual standards in the public schools. Thoroughness was one of Miss Patterson's most striking characteristics as a teacher. She was a quick, alert, vivacious worker." Today in 2021, please join me as we honor Ms. Patterson as the first of millions of African American women who would graduate from college. For the trail she blazed lit the path for other African American women who would graduate from college, who would enter the teaching profession or any other profession, or who would go on to be Vice President of the United States.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. And if we could join in acknowledging Mining Day as well as the legacy of Ms. Patterson today. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
1 minute recess.
1 minute recess. The Assembly will come back to order. We'll go to order business 15. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Seeing no other business before us, I would move that the Assembly stand adjourned until Thursday, February 25th, 2001 at the hour of 11:30 a.m.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.